Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, June 29th, 2021. It's 2:02 p.m. My name is Ty Mentzer, Chair of the Board. To my left is Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards, and to my right is Commissioner Carolina Mejia. To her right is the County Manager, Ramiro Chavez, and to his right is the Clerk of the Board, Amy Davis. Calling the meeting to order, and we will begin today with a Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Mejia.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We would also like to start today with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the indigenous Salish peoples who have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. With that, I would contemplate a motion for approval of the proposed agenda for today.
I would move to approve the agenda Tuesday, June 29th, 2021.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer.
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Contemplate a motion regarding board meeting minutes from June 22nd.
I would move to approve the board meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2021.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia.
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer.
Aye. Motion carries. Board meeting minutes approved unanimously for June 22nd. Now is the opportunity for the public to address the board. Board of County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public at our 2 p.m. Tuesday meeting. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. I will call names two at a time, the person who's going to speak and the person who's on deck, so they can be ready. When you hit the podium, please introduce yourself, including the area of the county in which you reside. Please address the board, not audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones. The board does not respond directly to public comment, but on an as-needed basis, the county manager will follow up with specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. The board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. Comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business, remarks about pending land use permits, or similar matters that could come before the board on appeal, or any comments that could be construed as electioneering. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of RCW. And with that, first on our sign up today is Jan Tvetten, followed by Joe Hanna.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jan Tvetten. I have lived out on Rochester Prairie for the last 50 years. I'm here today in reference to the conservation easement for Lorraine Tvetten that you're going to be addressing later in the meeting. First, I want to give you just a brief little history on what has taken to get to this point. In May of 2019, I met with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and got some details of what was required ahead of us. And in August of 2019, I turned in our HCP. It took me two months to prepare it. It took them 20 months to approve the document. And the document is now approved. And to implement the HCP, we now have to go to a conservation easement, which we work out with the county. And it's my understanding that that easement is the same as is before you today. The documents that I prepared to get the what they call the ITP, the incidental take permit, is an enormous amount of documents. There's 3 documents. It's the HCP, it's the critical area report, and the conservation easement. It took an awful long time to do it, but I will say one thing. So many times we have a tendency to attack the guy on the front line, the staffers. I want to say that the staff was very good to work with. It was a lengthy process. We had our differences of opinion, but there was nothing that was not resolved in a peaceable manner. I'm grateful for the fact that the commission has allowed us a process in the time period when you are working on your HCP. But I believe that the process that I went through, I've gone through it twice now, and others have also gone through it, that process is, gee whiz, horrible. No one should own a property, pay taxes on it, being zoned 1 house in 5, and not be able to come in and get a permit in less than 2 years. That's horrible. So I encourage the policymakers, really. It's not the staff, it's the policymaker that has come up with such a convoluted process. It doesn't really apply to a guy that owns a piece of property and wants to build a house. Commissioner Edwards spoke to something similar at the agenda setting meeting a week ago, and I totally agree with him. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has a special category for people like me and people that want to build a home. They call it SFR, Single Family Residence. They have made no provisions for handling us in a quick manner because it is such a small project. No, they've done the opposite. They have taken single-family residents and put them as the lowest priority in their agency. So they only work on that when they don't have anything else to do. And that's why it took 20 months to get the HCP. I'm grateful for what you have done, and that's all I have to say. I hope you approve it.
Thanks, sir. Next up will be Joe, followed by John Pettit.
Hi, Joe Hanna, East Olympia. I'm here as an individual local farmer in East Olympia, county farmer, and state farmer. I'm here to talk about agriculture today. Last week I talked about agriculture, and in your planning meeting last week, Commissioner Mintzer, while discussing the ag funds that staff recommended from the newest round of COVID monies the county received, compared the $2.1 million that the staff suggested go to ag to how many tiny shelters can be built with that kind of money. Again, you're comparing apples and oranges. I was chastised by some of the members of the public for challenging that, with them saying that Commissioner Mintzer is a champion for agriculture. Now's the time. Step up and prove that. If you're a champion for agriculture, now's the time. I don't think historically that's been shown with cuts to all the ag programs across the board. And since you've been on the commission, I ask that you step up and show that you are a champion for agriculture in this county. I've previously spoke to you about the loss of farm grounds in this county. There's nothing been done that I'm aware of to try to preserve any farm grounds in this county. You recently had staff present you with a survey of agriculture that pointed out a number of suggestions that agriculture workers in this county, farm owners, ranchers, etc., said were priorities. You've got the opportunity. There's money available to fund this. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Next up's John Pettit, followed by Steve Gilmore.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's John Pettit. I live out off Rich Road in East Olympia. I hope that you all received a little packet I supplied for you to have during the meeting to follow along. 4 minutes is never enough time, but it's more than 3. Before I get into the packet, I'm going to mention you have listed item 4C, Real Estate Brokerage Service Contract Extension. Well, if I understand right, the county may be intending to finish up the services that they need through the purchase of a facility, and there's no reason to extend this contract. If you were actually thinking you were going to go into the atrium, if you look at your triple net fee sheet that you'd been provided before, it appears that your friends that you have under contract, while they're representing the other party to that, appears to be set to make about $630,000 over 7 years for management in order to have you guys there. So maybe they aren't really your best friends. I'm going to encourage you to turn that down, put out an RFP if you need professional services. You might even have good legal advice like that gentleman over there. Now, on to my quick number of pages here. What I wanted to talk about, first of all, I keep hearing the county assistant manager taunt that there's $50 million available through bonds using REIT funds. Well, if you go to page 1, which I have you here, you will see that that is not really the case. I do not know why you're going along with this facade that you're going to have lots of money. You don't. REIT funds must be brought in and used during the 6-year time frame, approximate, and that is the commitment. When it says right here, an example, it was in 1992, making funds, debt retirement prior to 92 may continue to be used for that purpose until the original debt for which the revenues were pledged is retired. You have no margin to create new debt. That's not part of the program. So that's page 1 and 2. That's the particular RCW. The next page has to do, of course, again with there's a date and a time frame, and it has to be not that you're going to be using the money for any bonds. It doesn't exist. It's a farce. But you're falling right into it. Now let's go to page 5. Page 5 is a financial table that was proposed in the minor amendment packet. And somehow by buying this $13 million or $6 million of building and $7 million worth of facility at the atrium, you are going to sign on. In other words, you're signing that there is an increase in the REIT funds of $13 million. Now, if you go to page 6, you will see the actual document that you'll be approving. So you're going to be committing fraud by signing on something which isn't really true. There is no increase in REIT funds because you're buying buildings. Be very careful. The next part, which I'll show you, is you go to page 7, in the documents, it shows down here on the bottom of the page, both the expenditure supposedly for the tenant improvements and the Mottman facility. It shows the expenditure, but guess what? It doesn't show a revenue change or an increase. Now your documents even conflict with each other. Why isn't that there if you put it on the other one? You need to have your numbers correct before you basically approve something. I gave you a number of questions. I don't know why you haven't implemented and forced your management to do it, but I consider this votes you make today a 2-in-1 deal. One, if you vote for it, if the two of you vote for it, then you're also going to be, the same two will be voting for being removed from office for misappropriation of funds. So give it a lot of thought and consideration. Thank you.
Steve Gilmore is next, followed by Michael Stedman. No, I'm not testifying. Oh, sorry, you guys said no. I apologize. That was it for the sign-up sheet for folks that wanted to testify, unless there's anybody else that didn't sign up. Not seeing any hands there. Okay.
On the Zoom screen, what I have is Mr. Tom Crawford. Can you please unmute yourself? State your name, where you reside in the county. You have 4 minutes, sir.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Tom Crawford. I live in Olympia proper, and I'm also, as I think commissioners, you all know, I'm involved with Thurston Climate Action Team. And I just want to say we've been very pleased to work with staff and with the board on getting to the point where you have you're deciding whether to move forward on the CPACer program to implement that program here in Thurston County. And obviously, we fully support that. We think that's provides a lot of help and advantage to commercial property owners here in Thurston County to implement clean energy measures. And we remain ready to work with you on implementing that and providing community education around this for commercial property owners and property managers to assist you in rolling out this program. So again, thank you very much for bringing this to this point, and we look forward to successful public hearing and final vote on your part to implement this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Ms. Cynthia Anderson. Please unmute yourself.
Hello, my name is Cynthia Anderson, and I am representing the Homeowners Association at Single Tree Estates in Yale. I'm here to speak in favor of the proposed budget amendment that you are considering under item 9 on your agenda. We began our journey with this project over 20 years ago, and tried to find a remedy with the homeowner in question for 10 years, resulting in a lien that was put on her property. In 2007, we first contacted county to see if we could get some help with them, and they posted an unsafe building notice on her door, but nothing ever happened. In 2015, it was posted again, and she got 30 days to begin work on fixing, either repairing her home or making arrangements to demolish it. Nothing was ever followed up on. So 4 years ago, the Homeowners Association asked a couple of us to begin working more closely with the county. And we began with working with Josh Cummings, and then later Brett Burris. And it's been a long journey those 4 years. We've had a lot of side trips, but we're coming right down now to the end. In March, Scott Cushing of the PAO was able to obtain a warrant for abatement for this property, which is a health hazard and a danger to the children whose bus stop it sits right next to, as well as devaluing our property. We would like to ask you to please vote in favor of the budget amendment. Our warrant for abatement expires in September. So we would just like to speak in favor of that and hope that our journey is finally coming to an end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. John Cox, would you like to provide testimony this afternoon? Is there anybody else in the Zoom who would like to provide testimony this afternoon? Thank you.
Okay, that brings item number 1 to a close. Let's go to item number 2, county manager's update.
I think we'd like to provide testimony. Nope. I don't have any follow-up updates today, Commissioners. Thank you.
Okay, we have 4 consent items. Is there a motion there or any request to pull an item off?
I'm prepared to make a motion, sir.
Okay,
I would move to approve consent items A through D.
Do you have your microphone on?
I would move to approve consent items A through D.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia? Aye. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Those items, 4 items are approved. Department item 4A, resolution for 2021 revised indirect cost allocation plan. Just Robin taking the lead. Okay, we have Assistant County Manager, upper left corner, Robin Campbell.
Thank you, Commissioners. Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. Here this afternoon for this particular item is a request that you approve a revision to our indirect cost allocation plan. This is attached to the budget amendment and is a result of changes in allocation of costs due to actions taken in the original budget as well as the amendment. This is mainly tied to a change in the planning department and is just results in new additional impact on the general fund. Be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner Mejia, any questions?
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Edwards?
No further questions. We've discussed this.
Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the resolution adopting the 2021 revised indirect cost allocation plan.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia? Aye. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is 4B, resolution for Interfund Loan.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is an item that is attached to the purchase of the Mottman property. The plan to purchase Mottman is ultimately to pay for that out of the Real Estate Excise Tax 1 fund, or REIT 1, as you often hear us refer to it. The reason that we're asking for this loan today is long-term, what the strategy is for REIT is to leverage the money in the fund in the form of a bond issue. And we've been talking about the fact that the fund will bear a $50 million bond that we would then use the proceeds to address the maintenance needs of the buildings on the courthouse and the space needs across the county. One of those needs is the purchase of the Mottman property. The opportunity came up now to purchase Mottman, and we've gone through, with your approval, the negotiations for that purchase. But we don't want to issue the bonds now because one of the things about tax-exempt government bonds is that there are spin-down provisions or rules by the IRS. And we can't just put the money in the bank. Timing is everything with the issue of the bonds, and we will issue them when we're ready to do construction so that we can spend the money down in an appropriate manner. However, while we wait to issue those bonds, we're going to go ahead and buy Mottman. And to address cash flow needs in the fund, I am requesting that you approve this interfund loan at an interest rate of 1% from your ER&R fund. That fund has sufficient reserves to be able to afford this short-term loan. And then when we issue the bonds in REIT, we'll pay that interfund loan back within the next 2 years. If for any reason there is additional funding available in the REIT fund, we would pay the loan off sooner, but it's for a 2-year period. And really what this is just to bridge us to the time that we issue the bonds. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the strategy that I've laid out.
Commissioner Mejia?
Robin, you mentioned timing in regards to the bonds. What kind of timing are we talking about? So would RFPs have to go out first to fix this building?
So what I've talked to our bond counsel and bond advisors about is the best time to issue construction bonds is just before the construction begins. So we would want to get through design, and I'm thinking that that is going to take anywhere from 12 to 18 months to get the design done, start the RFP process, to get the contractors to do the construction. So I really think that it's going to be 12 to 18 months before we're ready to issue these bonds.
Thank you.
Commissioner Edwards?
Robin, could you tell me, is minor amendment a terminology regularly used in what we've been doing for the last couple of months on,
Commissioner, I think
on this issue?
Right. The term minor amendment has been used to classify or try to label, if you will, the capital improvement plan, the CIP amendment. This is not part of the CIP amendment, and I'm not the right person to be asking about those types of things. That's not my area of expertise.
5A, we'll get there, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Robin, what would happen if the bonds didn't get issued for any reason?
If for any reason we don't issue the bonds, I believe that we'll be able to structure a repayment plan out of REIT. The revenue in REIT, we had budgeted a little under $3 million. At the time we did the budget last year, we thought about $3 million would come in to REIT 1 in revenue. At the time, you were looking at the bonding strategy a few months ago. I was projecting $3.2 million, 3.3 million this year. 2 weeks ago, I ran the current revenue in REIT, and I think that we can easily expect $3.9 to $4 million now in revenue in REIT in 2021. We have a hot housing market. There's construction happening. I think that we will definitely have the revenue to repay this loan and to move forward with other projects that the board is considering.
Anything else from the board?
No, sir.
Is there a motion?
No, maybe.
Okay. I would move to approve a resolution for an interfund loan from the Equipment Rental and Revolving Replacement Reserve Fund to the Real Estate Excise Tax First Quarter Fund in the amount of $5,600,000 at an annual interest rate of 1%, to be repaid in one payment no later than June 30th, 2023.
I'll second that. The motion's been made and seconded. Is there further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. Okay, I will just point out, there's a multitude of steps on each of these projects, and there's a couple projects that have been in the public eye. So we've got this particular piece of the puzzle relates to a building at the Mottman, where we currently have our ballot processing center. And the whole goal of this is to increase election security and meet the basic needs of the auditor's office. And we had some good input from the county auditor about why that's important. And some of the election volunteers came and gave public testimony, kind of supporting what the auditor had told the board. So that's what I'm looking at. And so with all of that, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Nay.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. My motion carries 2-1. Okay, now we look at item 4C, which is real estate brokerage services contract extension.
Commissioner, this item, also mine, is to extend a contract that the county has with the Kidder Matthews for real estate services. We've been contracting with Kidder Matthews since 2016 when they were the successful bidders of an RFP process. The contract would have expired on July 31st of this year. However, we are, as you know, in the midst of a few real estate transactions, and this would not be in the best interest of the county to change realtors at this time. So we are proposing a 1-year extension that gives us time to close these deals and to move forward with an RFP that we'll bring to you in the spring of 2022.
Questions from the board on this item?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Me neither. I will, ask for a motion?
Move to approve Amendment 4 to the Real Estate Brokerage Services Agreement with Kidder Matthews for a 1-year extension from July 31st, 2021 to July 31st, 2022, and authorize the Assistant County Manager to execute the amendment.
Second? It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
No, sir.
No. Okay, call for the vote.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. Motion carries. That 1-year extension is approved, 2-1.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Let's go to item 4D, proposal to set a public hearing for a proposed CPACer ordinance.
Yeah, I believe our Economic Development Manager, Jenica Machado, is online. Jenica, please go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Jenica Machado, Economic Development Manager. So we have previously had briefings about the CPACer, or Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy and Resilience Financing. And CPACer allows property owners to access financing for qualifying energy efficiency, renewable energy, water conservation, and resiliency improvements for their buildings. The financing stays with the property rather than the building owner. And programs like CPACer have enabled financing with over 2,000 property owners in 24 different states. And so after these briefings, we're looking to set a public hearing for July 20th.
Questions for Jenica?
No questions.
No, sir.
Nope. Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd move to set a public hearing for Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, to accept public testimony on the proposed ordinance to establish commercial property assessed clean energy and resiliency program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I would like to say, as I represent the county on the Climate Mitigation Steering Committee, this is one of the strategies that we have in our plan. This is a program that allows for a financing option that property owners wouldn't ordinarily have, but only if the county takes action and records the, basically helps the bank make these loans over a longer period of time, secured by the property and recorded with the county auditor. So with a relatively simple resolution and ordinance from the county, citizens have a great opportunity to finance energy upgrades in a way that they wouldn't otherwise have, which helps us achieve our climate goals. Commissioner Edwards.
I guess I'd just like to follow up with that, sir, about the fact that it does not encumber the county by doing so. Is my understanding that this will not be a liability to the county.
Anything else, Jenica, and all of that?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. We'll have a public hearing on July 20th at 3 p.m. Next item is Community Planning and Economic Development, 5A, Capital Improvement Program Amendment.
Jennifer Davis will present the item. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Davis, Community Planning Manager. So as directed by the majority of the board last Thursday, a resolution was prepared for your consideration and signed by the PAO's office with an attachment that shows the text proposed to be amended and added to the 2021 through 2026 Capital Improvement Program, which is Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan. The resolution and attachment describes adding 2 capital facilities necessary for county administrative functions, including elections and courts. These facilities are the 3000 Pacific Building in Olympia and the Mottman Complex in Tumwater. And this amendment proposals from the Budget Office. And CPAD processes all amendments to the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan, which is why I'm here today. So adding these facilities to the CIP does not commit the county to doing the projects. It does allow the county to expend REIT funds on the facilities as necessary. And the CIP is a financial plan, not a budget. And parallel amendments to the budget have also been under your consideration at this time. I do want to note that amendments to the CIP are covered under item CPA-4 on the official comp plan docket. There is a major repeal and replace of the CIP that we do every year that goes for the following 6 years. The use of the term minor at times to describe this particular amendment to the 2021 CIP was used simply to distinguish it from that more major update. The term minor carries no other significance than to put into context this smaller amendment of adding 2 facilities when compared to the major update, which involves dozens of facilities and multiple millions of dollars later this year. So this amendment has been processed following all the required steps under the Growth Management Act, Thurston County Comp Plan, SEPA, Thurston County Code. I will say that in response to the board's discussion last Thursday and on the recommendation of the prosecuting attorney's office, staff did update the project description for the 3000 Pacific Capital Facility, adding some clarifying language about the need for this facility based on the discussions that were had and some of the public input we heard at the hearing on June 22nd. The revised text is included on page 7 of the attachment to resolution. I'm going to read it for the record now. It's under implication of not doing the project. It reads as follows. Current court functions are constrained at the existing facility due to the age and available space at Building 2 and Building 3 of the county campus. The demand for court functions is also projected to expand in the near future, which will further exacerbate physical constraints and limitations on the county's ability to provide judicial services to the public. Renovation of current campus facilities would be unlikely to meet projected needs. And staff is happy to answer any questions about this amendment.
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes, Jennifer, was the term minor amendment used while advertising this to the public for the notification?
Yes, it was used in staff reports and in describing this through all our public notifications, but the full information about the amendment and what it involves was always attached to all of that description of minor.
Okay, thank you.
Any further? Okay, no other questions. Then is there a motion?
I would move to approve a resolution amending Appendix G of the Thurston County Comprehensive Plan, the 2021-2026 Capital Improvement Program, to add 2 capital facilities necessary to maintain county government services.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. Okay. I would add that this is an allowance for these projects to be further reviewed. One of them is going forward for almost to certainty. The other one's still being evaluated by the board, but there's a timing element. And there were process allegations made. We took them very seriously and reviewed each and every one with counsel. There was not determined to be any process problems. And the board represents all of the citizens of Thurston County. All we can do is go through them, process objections with counsel, and if they don't seem to hold muster, then we need to do what we feel is in the best interest of the citizens of Thurston County. So with that, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye. Motion carries 2-1. Item 5B is a conservation easement for Lorraine Tvetten.
Brett Burris is going to be presenting this item. Brett?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Brett Burris. I'm the Development Services Manager with Community Planning and Economic Development. Today before you is to consider holding a conservation easement for the Lorraine Tvetten conservation easement over 7.75 acres of a parcel located in Rochester, Washington. A bit of history. Once pocket gophers are found or determined to be occupied on site, according to the gopher protocols, property owner has 3 options. First one is to do nothing and or avoid. The second one is to wait for Thurston County HCP to be adopted. And thirdly, the property owner can work with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services to obtain an individual HCP. The property owner did work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and did submit a conservation easement. Please note that conservation easements are to be maintained pursuant to the requirement of said easement and must be held by a qualified third party. Essentially, the federal government cannot hold the easement. The applicant has requested that Thurston County hold the conservation easement, and this conservation easement would protect and prevent any use that will impair or interfere with the environmental values of the preserved areas. So today before you is a request for the Board of County Commissioners to move to accept the Lorraine Tvetten conservation easement of approximately 0.75 acres of the parcel located at 8048 186th Avenue Southwest in Rochester, Washington. And I'm available for any follow-up questions that you may have.
Questions for Brett?
No questions.
No, sir.
Okay, is there a motion?
I would move to accept the Lorraine Tvetten conservation easement over approximately 0.75 acres of the parcel located at 8048 186th Avenue Southwest, Rochester, Washington, 98579.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Just like to congratulate Mr. Tvetten on his incidental take permit. We hope to be joining you next year. We're not there yet. Congratulations. Moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mentzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Conservation easement approved unanimously. 5B. Let's go to item 6A, information technology. This is a proposed contract with UpTrust for a messaging communication service.
And I believe we have Dennis Osorio and Patrick O'Connor present here to present the item. Dennis?
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Dennis Osorio, IT Director. We're here today seeking UpTrust as an application platform that will provide two-way automated text messaging between both Thurston County staff and their clients' mobile telephones. The implementation of the two-way text messaging will improve services, reduce incarceration and warrants issued by the courts due to client failure to comply and or appear to schedule court dates, decrease the courts and public defense administrative burden of rescheduling appointments, tracking clients' whereabouts, and requesting, processing court calendar changes, as well as improved communication between clients, defense attorneys, and legal staff. UpTrust is a SMS service that fully integrates with the new Journal Technologies eDefender, which we are currently implementing both for defense as well as the prosecutor's module. We did reach out to 5 different vendors, and we are currently requesting a sole source contract with UpTrust for $21,960, which includes the integration as well as 2 years of licensing. It will be $7,200 annually, therefore after, which will be in the IT customer rates. And the initial cost will be funded through the Journal Technology project through efficiencies of us not implementing certain interfaces that are not possible at this time. Is there any questions? Or Patrick, if you'd like to add anything?
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners. I don't have anything to add, Dennis. I appreciate you and your department's work on this, and I'm available for any questions.
Commissioner Mejia?
No questions.
Commissioner Edwards?
I guess no questions, but I think a spin-off benefit will be jail population if we can help people make their court dates.
Yeah, and the most in-depth discussion the board had on this item was last Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. If there's further interest, you could check out that meeting, and we went into the details. Okay, it's been, no, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd move to approve a sole source contract with UpTrust for $21,960 and $7,200 annually thereafter for a 2-way text messaging communication system with integration to Public Defense's case management system, and authorize the Information Technology Director to execute the agreement and amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. Item 7A is Public Health and Social Services, DSHS, Long-Term Payable Interlocal Agreement.
Our Director of Public Health Social Services, Shelley Slater, is going to be presenting the item. Shelley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Again, I'm Shelley Slaughter, Director of Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. Thank you so much. I'm here to ask for the board's approval of the Washington State Department of Health and Social Services Interlocal Long-Term Payable Agreement, 2163-23634. This is an agreement that provides advanced funds to our department to provide for cash flow on a cost reimbursement basis for contracts for our developmental disabilities program. This is part of an annual process, and our current advance amount that we receive is $774,651. This agreement would be for the duration of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Payments to our county subcontracted agencies, which include 5 different agencies, are used to specifically provide supported employment, community inclusion, and high school transition services to adults with developmental disabilities. This benefits 490 individuals in our community to help them have access to critical funding that supports our most vulnerable in our community. Thank you.
Anything for Shelley from the board?
No, sir.
We've had a lot of discussion on this over the last few meetings.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve the State Department of Social and Health Services Interlocal Long-Term Payable Agreement 2163-23634 for $774,651.66, and for the term of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, and authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the amendment and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Anything further?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. That's 7A. Let's go to 7B. Proposed amendments to ESGCV contracts for homeless services. Tom Webster is here from Public Health and Social Services. Go ahead, Tom.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Webster, Program Manager for the Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention and Public Health and Social Services. So here this afternoon to ask for your approval to for 7 contract amendments for the Emergency Solutions Grant COVID program for a total of $1,070,000 to 7 different agencies. So in November of 2020, the board approved a contract with the Washington State Department of Commerce to receive Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG COVID funding, for approximately $3.8 million. This was funding under the CARES Act that went from the Department of Housing and Urban Development through the Washington State Department of Commerce and then on to the county. In December of 2020, you approved contracts valued at $2,577,286 to 8 agencies to provide services to support vulnerable populations, particularly those experiencing homelessness as a result in response to COVID-19. The intent of those initial funds, we intentionally did not spend the full amount of funds as we wanted to have the flexibility to adjust to the COVID pandemic and how things would progress. So the intent was that initial funding round would get agencies through approximately 6 to 7 months of operations. So we're at the end of that period where most of the agencies have completed spending out their contracts or near completing spending out their contracts. Therefore, we're asking to amend 7 of these contracts to change the dollar amounts to spend the remaining funds that we received under the ESG program. So those amendments include for Community Action Council of Lewis, Mason, and Thurston County, a reduction of $500,000 to their contract of $600,000 to leave their total award of $100,000. Their initial contract was primarily for rent assistance activities, and because of the other rent assistance that CAC has, they're no longer in need of this funding source. Increase a contract with the City of Olympia to provide hygiene services for an additional $30,000. The Family Support Center of South Sound to provide hotel vouchers for shelter guests for an additional $420,000. To Interfaith Works for the operation of their first Christian emergency shelter for $400,000. To Interfaith Works for their operation of a second shelter to be at 3444 Martin Way for $400,000. To Partners in Prevention Education to provide shelter-in-place activities for an additional $200,000. And to Safe Place to provide hotel vouchers for an additional $120,000. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions.
No, sir.
No, this one's kind of convoluted, but it makes sense after hearing it 3 or 4 times. So, very good. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd move to approve 7 Emergency Solutions Grant COVID contracts. Amendments for a total amount of $1,070,000 to agencies that are supporting vulnerable populations in response to COVID-19, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contracts and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, items 7C and D are related items related to the Criminal Justice Treatment Account. One is item 7C is Amendment 3 to Healthcare Authority Contract K3971. Item 7D is Amendment 4 to Healthcare Authority Contract, the same one, K3971, both related to the Criminal Justice Treatment Account. Our Program Manager for Treatment Sales Tax, Carrie Hanna, is here. County Manager, how did you want to handle these?
Yeah, I will ask Carrie to explain each item individually and go that way.
Okay.
That will be the best.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Okay, thanks. Again, Carrie Hanna, Public Health and Social Services, and these 2 items are related to Criminal Justice Treatment Account funding, which is funding our county receives from the Washington Healthcare Authority. Per statute, this funding is to be spent on substance use disorder treatment and recovery services for individuals involved in the criminal justice system. So the first amendment, Amendment 3, is a contract amendment for the fiscal year ending tomorrow, so for state fiscal year 21. This is a contract amendment to refund $75,000 from the county to the state healthcare authority. In this current fiscal year, our county received a pretty big increase in our funding for this fund source, and that was earmarked specifically for use in treatment courts. And due to the COVID pandemic, our census in our treatment courts is lower than it ever has been. Certainly a lot lower than it was a year or two ago. So we were not able to expend all of the increase in funding. So again, this is a contract amendment to reduce our total compensation for the current state fiscal year. So I'll pause and ask if you have questions on that one.
Questions on 7C?
No, sir.
Maybe I'll just say to Carrie, you mean to say that you got extra money and you ran your operation so efficiently that now you're returning money to the originating agency? Is that right?
That's right, yes.
Sure, we'll go with that, Commissioner.
We'll go with that.
Okay. Very good. Don't we wish they all could be done this way? Okay.
Go ahead to 7D. Carrie.
Okay. Sure. So 7D, so Amendment 4 to the same contract from the Washington State Healthcare Authority for criminal justice treatment account funding. So this is funding for the state biennium that starts on July 1st. So July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2023. This is funding for a total of $734,444 for that 2-year period. And again, it's those same purpose of substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services for individuals involved in the criminal justice system. We've done a lot of work over the past several months internally in terms of developing the plan to roll out use of these funds. And so we have agreements kind of ready to go for July 1st once the board approves this revenue contract. So questions on that one?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. Is there a motion on 7C?
On 7C, I would move to approve Amendment 3 to the Healthcare Authority Contract K3971 for criminal justice treatment account funds to refund $75,000 for a total amount of $276,636 for the period of July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the amendment and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. That's 7C, approved unanimously. Let's look at 7D. Is there a motion there?
Yes, sir. I'd move to approve Washington State Health Care Authority Contract K3971, Amendment 4, for a total maximum amount of $734,444 for the term of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023, for criminal justice treatment account funds to provide subsistence use disorder treatment and recovery support services to individuals involved in the criminal legal system, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. 7D unanimously. Public Works is next. Item 8A is a professional services contract for materials testing and inspection services, on-call consultant.
Commissioners, before I give the floor to Steve Bricker, I'd like to stand corrected on the information I provided to the board this morning related to the length of this contract. The total length of the contract is 6 years, meaning 2 years base contract with the option to extend to 2-year addition. So I presented backwards this information this morning to you, so I'd like to clarify that information that I provided to the board this morning.
And so the $250,000 covers 2 years. And
It covers the total 6 years with the option, the first 2 years and then extending every 2 years. And that is, I believe that is the case. But the $250,000, the ceiling, that doesn't mean that we're going to spend it all on the length of this contract. It could be carryovers related to the extensions, yeah, depending on how much we use the.
If we maxed out 250 in 2 years, in order to renew, they'd have to come back to the board to authorize additional funds.
That is correct.
Okay. Steve, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Steve Bricker, the Construction Manager for Public Works. Materials testing and inspection is essential to ensure compliance with specified construction standards for quality assurance and acceptance of projects. Thurston County has numerous construction projects planned over the next few years, as identified in the 2021 to 2026 Capital Improvement Program and the 2021 to 2026 Transportation Improvement Program. Many of these projects and these programs will require materials testing services. On May 27th, 2021, we received 4 proposals. In response to the RFP, this RFP was advertised May 6th in the Olympian and posted on the county webpage. Public Works evaluated and scored the proposals based on the contractor's qualifications, experience, past performance and references, proximity and responsiveness, services offered, and reasonable rates. The highest ranking proposal was received from Materials Testing and Consulting, Inc. of Olympia, Washington. Doing a single award for materials testing and consulting will allow staff to quickly, efficiently obtain the needed services in support of all public works projects. The term of the contract, again, will be a maximum of 6 years, consisting of a 2-year base and 2 2-year renewal options. The maximum ceiling amount will be $250,000 initially, with opportunities for increases in future option years if needed. Funds will be obligated upon issuance of work orders and paid from the approved individual project budgets. This action is in alignment with the County Strategic Plan Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure system for a thriving community, and Initiative 14 to strengthen sound financial management practices. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
No, thank you, Steve. Is there a motion?
I would move to award the professional services contract for materials testing and inspection services, on-call consulting, to Materials Testing and Consulting Incorporated of Olympia, Washington, for a total amount of $250,000 for the initial 2-year term and 2 2-year renewal options, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and amendments for up to 10% additional contingency, extensions as deemed appropriate, and subsequent work orders.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries 8A unanimously. Thank you, Steve. Item 8B is also under Public Works. It's a proposed master interlocal agreement with the Nisqually Indian Tribe for the Rural Community Support Program. Becky Kahn is here from Public Works.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Becky Kahn, and I'm a civil engineer in the Traffic Department of Public Works, and I'm here to request the board to execute a master interlocal agreement, or ILA, with the Nisqually Indian Tribe. This ILA will allow the county to provide rural community support program funds to the Nisqually Indian Tribe. This ILA, in conjunction with an ILA with the Thurston Regional Planning Council, or TRPC, is the mechanism through which transportation projects can be funded in rural communities. TRPC will program federal funds that include overhead and administrative costs in exchange for the county providing these RCSP funds to the small communities. Thurston County has adequate staff and is certified to administer these federal funds. The smaller communities often don't have the resources or the certification to administer the funds, which is why we are working on this program. In November of last year, the board executed 3 similar ILAs with the city of Rainier, Tenino, and the town of Bucota. And just as a final note, this ILA will set up the structure of the program with the Nisqually tribe, and a separate memorandum of understanding as an amendment to this ILA would be used to detail specific dollar amounts and project specifics. With that, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Nope. This is a good program for our rural South County communities, and the Nisqually Indian tribe fits in there. They work along the same lines. So glad to line this up for them. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to execute the master interlocal agreement with the Nisqually Indian tribe for the administration of rural community support program funds.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion from the board?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. Motion carries. That's 8B. 8C. Also, we're still with Public Works. Resolution authorizing contract negotiations for solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services. Karen Weiss, in person.
In
Public
person.
Works.
It's been important.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Karen Weiss, Thurston County Public Works, representing the Solid Waste Division. So Thurston County Public Works operates 3 solid waste facilities for the disposal of commercial and residential municipal solid waste collected in the county. Annually, we process over 300 customer transactions, 230,000 tons of municipal solid waste, and process a variety of recycling materials at these facilities. The scale house, toll house, and household hazardous waste operations are staffed by county staff, but the recycling, municipal solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services are all managed through contractual relationships or arrangements. We have service arrangements with multiple vendors to provide these services, and these contracts are set to expire in 2023. They have been in place for over 20 years. They are complex to manage, and they do not meet our current operational needs. During 2018, in preparation for the expiration of the contracts, the Board of County Commissioners deliberated extensively on the available options for the expiring contracts, and in October of that year, 2018, authorized staff to proceed with a request for a proposal, or RFP, for solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services. Recognizing the significance of the contract, both in terms of service to our residents and in terms of total cost, the board established a framework for the RFP process designed to provide the best value to the residents of our county. And this was accomplished through transparency in the RFP process, promoting competition, ensuring that our waste is handled and disposed of in an environmentally sound manner, meeting the sustainability objectives of our county, ensuring all of our service and operational needs are addressed, and allowing for changes in growth and changes in service delivery over time. To meet these objectives, an evaluation committee was established, and it was comprised of community stakeholders from the various county municipal jurisdictions, and they developed evaluation criteria and participated in the review and scoring of submitted proposals. The evaluation criteria was a representation of a balance of stakeholder interests and perspectives, and was developed in consideration of the following: comprehensive county solid waste management and handling operational needs, our sustainability objectives, and the price for the services. As an additional step to ensure the best process for RFP and identify any major potential flaws with the RFP, a 60-day pre-review period was provided from September to November of 2020 for potential proposers to review and provide input into the draft RFP and contract. We had 3 participants in that process, and we made revisions as appropriate to the documents. The final RFP was released on January 13th of 2021, and proposals were due on April 8th of 2021. The RFP process resulted in the submission of 3 responsive proposals. The evaluation committee members then undertook an extensive process to carefully review and score the proposals based on the published evaluation criteria that was included in the RFP. The evaluation committee then compiled the scoring results and ranked the proposers based on the aggregate scores, and subsequently provided a consensus recommendation to you, the board, on the highest scoring proposer. The proposal scoring results, as you know, have been reviewed and evaluated and extensively discussed with the board in 2 executive sessions. And it's been determined the highest scoring proposal satisfies the objective of the RFP process to meet the county's operational and sustainability needs and provide the best value to county residents. The next step in the RFP process is to commence contract negotiations to ensure operational readiness at the expiration of the current contracts. Today, we are requesting the board confirm the proposal scoring results and the highest scoring proposer as submitted by the evaluation committee to you, and pass a resolution authorizing staff to enter into contract negotiations for the solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services with the highest scoring proposer. Following today's board meeting, proposers will be notified of the board's decision, and RFP information and results will also be publicly available in accordance with our established process for release of information. And with that, any questions?
Go ahead, Commissioner.
As this process moves forward, apparently this is not the contract itself. This is just a resolution to move forward with negotiations with one of the participants.
Correct.
And then when do you feel we're going to be close to issuing a contract? When do you think that might take place?
Well, we established a timeline at the beginning of this process based on our needs to have the contracts in place in 2023, May of 2023. And our target for having contract negotiations completed would be October of 2021 or November. And of course, we would be bringing the board into those discussions all along the way.
What happens if during your negotiations with the highest score on this process doesn't meet with your expectations with issuing a contract? What happens then?
We would, at that point, evaluate the options available to us in terms of moving forward with a contract, whether that's with the other proposers that were submitted, or looking at the process in whole.
Okay. Thank you.
So the contract negotiations, if the board were to approve this resolution, does that start tomorrow, or does that start next week, or in a month, or how does that? We would
work on contract negotiations quickly, I think. I mean, we would start a kickoff and begin those contract discussions as early as we can in terms of collaborating with everyone that needs to be involved and getting time on the calendar with everyone. But yes, we would be moving forward on those. I think our initial timeline anticipated mid-July, so we're right on time.
Okay. And that was part of the timing of why this resolution is before us at this moment. Okay. Is there a motion?
I would move to confirm the proposal scoring results and the highest scoring proposer of solid waste RFP number 034-SW-R001 regarding a solid waste operations, maintenance, transport, and disposal services contract, and to approve the resolution authorizing staff to enter into contract negotiations with the highest scoring proposer.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion from the board?
Oh, long time coming.
Very good. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Let's go to 8D, proposed resolution for development agreement with Kaufman Holdings, Inc.
Teresa Parsons from Public Works will present this item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Teresa Parsons. I'm in the engineering department within the Department of Public Works. And this is a request that staff has to ask the board to adopt a resolution to enter into a development agreement with Kaufman Holdings, Inc. regarding the intersection improvements of US 12 and Sargent Road to construct a roundabout. It will assist in providing safe and efficient access to homes and businesses, improve traffic flow for vehicles, and improve emergency access in the Ground Mound area. Kaufman Holdings owns property that they are interested in developing, and in recognition of the benefits that this project will provide to their development, the Kaufman has proposed to pay their traffic impact fees in advance of permitting to help fund the construction of the roundabout. In addition, the agreement vests the property for 10 years in certain development standards that are applicable to the county's arterial commercial zoning district as identified in Thurston County Code Chapter 20.25. A development agreement is the tool through which this mutually beneficial agreement can be completed. By executing this agreement, the public will benefit by allowing completion of the project. A public hearing was held on June 8th in front of the board to hear and receive information and testimony regarding this matter for your consideration and a decision. And this agreement is consistent with the county's strategic plan and in alignment with initiatives 6, proactively shaping a strong, diverse economy that provides equitable access to opportunity, and initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. Are there any questions?
No, sir.
No, we've had a lot of questions answered already. Thank you.
Public hearing to boot on this one. Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd move to adopt the resolution approving a development agreement with Kaufman Holdings Incorporated, providing for advance payment of traffic impact fees and allowing the property to vest for 10 years to certain Thurston County land use control ordinances for lots 2 and 3 of short subdivision number SS 2527 at 19635 Sargent Road Southwest in the Grand Mound urban growth area.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion from the board on this one?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer.
Aye, the motion carries. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Item 8E is a resolution and call for sealed bids for the Burfoot Park restroom replacement project, or Parks Department.
Kevin Forbes from Public Works will present the item. Kevin.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Forbes Kushani, Associate Civil Engineer here with the Design Engineering team at Public Works. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for a construction contract for the Burfoot restroom replacement project. This project will replace an existing restroom with 2 new pre-manufactured restrooms, one being in its place and the other near the playground. The existing restroom is not ADA compliant and experiences flooding from stormwater runoff. The new restrooms will be ADA compliant and double the restroom capacity of the park. The engineer's estimate for contract award and construction management is between $900,000 and $1.2 million for this project. Funding for this project has been allocated through the park's impact fee and REIT 2 funds at 65% and 35% respectively. This project is in the 2021 Public Works budget, the 2021 Capital Improvement Plan, and is in alignment with the county's strategic plan, Initiative 7, to balance development with the preservation of the county's rural character, natural areas, and open spaces, as well as Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. Myself and Ed Marson, the Parks Maintenance and Operations Manager, are here to answer any questions you may have.
No questions.
I guess I guess it's not as much a question as a statement. I would hope that we could build a pretty substantial bathroom for well less than the stated amount. Thank you.
Of course.
I guess I had questions along the same lines. How many bathrooms are we replacing?
We'll be replacing one restroom with 6 stalls in it in total for 2 restrooms, each in the same size. They will be industrial strength and vandal resistant.
Cost of doing business? I don't know.
We could
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, three homes.
Yeah.
Median value for, yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see what we get back in terms of the.
But if I may, but keep in mind, it's not just replacing, it's the demolition of the bathrooms, bringing in new infrastructure, and then redo all the piping associated with the stormwater. So it tends to be focusing on the bathrooms, whereas the additional work that needs to be done to accomplish these objectives also is expensive. So it's all part of that.
I can't argue that all that is going to happen, but the water's there and the power's there, and we need to disassemble everything and haul it away and build new. I just hope we can do it for a considerable amount less than that stated.
Isn't it always also making like new piping in another location though? So they have to add all of that new because they're demolishing one and they're adding one there, but they're also adding another one near the playground. So that has to be new electricity, new pipes.
Yeah, and all that, and yeah, so that is the additional cost. But yeah, Commissioner Edwards, yeah, we hope that is the case. So we'll see how the bids are coming. And the contractor will give us a picture as to how much it will cost. And again, the next step will be for staff to come back to the board again to award the lowest bid contract. So
we just might have to go out to bid several times on this deal if it doesn't go.
Or scale back
or scale back, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner. Okay, at this point, we can move forward on this call for sealed bids, I suppose. Is there a motion?
Yes, sir. I would move to approve a resolution and call for sealed bids and authorize the county engineer to set the bid date and the time for receipt and opening of said bids for the Burfoot Park Restroom Replacement Project. CP number 51077.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye, motion carries. The next item F is a resolution and call for sealed bids for the Deschutes Falls Park Walkway and Viewing Platform Project. And Kevin, back on tap for this one.
Of course, Commissioners, Public Works would also like to request permission from the Board of County Commissioners to call for sealed bids for a construction contract for the Deschutes Falls Park Walkway and Viewing Platform Project. The purpose of this project is to provide a safer and more environmentally conscious access to viewing the falls at the Deschutes Falls Park. This project will construct a steel-graded platform that will have a maximum height of approximately 6 feet above grade. Pedestrian railing will be installed along the front of the platform and where the back exceeds a height of 2 feet above grade. Otherwise, there will be a wooden curb for safety. A new mulch path will be installed for a more convenient and safer route to the platform. The engineer's estimate for contract award and construction management ranges between $400,000 to $600,000. Funding for this project has been allocated through the Parks Impact Fee and REAP 2 funds at 65% and 35% respectively. This project is in the 2021 Public Works budget the 2021 Capital Improvement Plan and is in alignment with the county strategic plan, Initiative 7, to balance development with the preservation of the county's rural character, natural areas, and open spaces, as well as Initiative 8 to support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. And once again, Ed and I are here to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner Mejia, anything?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
A little bit of discussion on this morning, but I would hope at some point we can include access for limited mobile individuals so that everybody in Thurston County can participate in seeing this jewel of Thurston County. No other comments, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I would move to approve a resolution and call for sealed bids and authorize the county engineer to set the bid date and time for receipt and opening of said bids for the Deschutes Falls Park Walkway and Viewing Platform, project CP number 51088.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer,
Aye. Motion carries. 8F is approved. Okay, last but not least on the Public Works lineup is 8G. This is a proposal to set a public hearing for vehicular weight restrictions regarding our bridges. And who's here? Becky? Becky in the stead of Matt Unzelman. Go ahead, Becky.
Yeah, Becky Kahn here again, civil engineering with the Traffic Division of Public Works. And Public Works would like to request the board to set a public hearing to consider amending county code to place vehicular weight restrictions on the Yelm Highway Bridge and to remove vehicular weight restrictions on the Reeder Road Bridge. Recent federal requirements required Public Works to evaluate all of our county-owned bridges for 6 new design vehicles. These new design vehicles are representative of fire, water tanker trucks and dump trucks hauling heavy loads with 4, 5, 6, or 7 axles. These new design vehicles are meant to be more representative of how today's heavy loads are transported on our transportation system. Public Works completed its evaluation of 131 bridges and culverts and determined that weight restrictions are only necessary on the Yelm Highway Bridge at this time for those dump trucks hauling heavy loads with 5, 6, or 7 axles. All the other bridges in the county's bridge inventory currently meet the new requirements. This Yelm Highway Bridge is located just west of the Amtrak station, and this restriction will not affect the general public or standard transport vehicles like semi-trucks. The Reeder Road Bridge has been replaced with a new bridge last year, and that meets all the current design requirements, and therefore it no longer needs to be restricted to vehicle usage, which is why we are requesting for it to be removed. We are currently working with our communications staff to reach out to area stakeholders who this restriction might affect. So we are waiting to hear back from them. I can take any questions.
Questions?
The only question I'd ask you is, this is not going to have a substantial adverse effect on vehicles that can cross that bridge, is it?
That's correct. It's a very specific type of vehicle that this is restricting. It's so if you think of when you see like a dump truck on the road, it would have to have 5, 6, or 7 axles. So you don't often see that kind of a vehicle. But that is why we are reaching out to the local places to just check and make sure it's not going to adversely affect them.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion?
I would move to set a public hearing date for August 24th, 2021 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at the Thurston County Courthouse, Building 1, Room 280, to formally receive testimony on the proposed ordinance to place vehicular weight restrictions on the Elm Highway Bridge. I believe it's 012, and to remove vehicular weight restrictions on the Reeder Road Bridge. That's R3.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. And call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. We'll have a public hearing on August 24th at 3 p.m. Item 9A is a resolution for 2021 Budget Amendment 1. Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell's here, who also directs our budget team. And Robin, why don't you give us of course, we're well acquainted with this proposed amendment, but for the public's benefit, can you give us an overview?
Yes, Commissioner. Robin Campbell, Assistant County Manager. And this item on your agenda this afternoon is the first amendment to the 2021 county budget. This amendment, as you know, is quite complex and actually quite substantial. The overall change to our budget in the general fund, there is an increase in revenue of $7.4 million, increasing expenditures of $4.8 million. In other funds, there is a revenue increase of $134.6 million, and expenditures are increasing $124.7 million. And that's an increase of about 1/3 the size of the current county budget. This amendment has a lot going on. There are technical adjustments. There are unanticipated receipts. We are addressing needs and opportunities that were unexpected at the time the board adopted the original budget. We have a lot of federal money coming in. One of the technical adjustments that we do every year is we adjust the beginning fund balance based on the fiscal year close. We do that every year at this time, and for that reason, every county fund is impacted by this amendment. The big items in this amendment is the grant money to address the ongoing pandemic response to COVID-19. We anticipate well, it's nearly 100 million, if not more, of the grant money is directly related to COVID response. 28 million from the American Rescue Plan, and then the remainder going to public health. There are many other smaller grants, but overall, grants increasing by 905,000 in the general fund, and 92.3 million in other funds. Major policy adjustments, and by the way, there are numerous small line items in this budget, many small items, but there are a few very large items in this budget. There is $2 million from the general fund for an initial deposit to a budget stabilization fund, or rainy day fund, as they're generally called. 1.5 million is an increase for housing programs. That is not general fund money. That is from our community housing fund, but we have higher than expected recording fee revenue. So you're able to increase money available for those programs. There's 330,000 for water quality treatment at Long Lake from the Long Lake Lake Management Fund. And that is recommended by the Long Lake Advisory Committee. 7 million for lease and tenant improvements. at the 3000 Pacific building. That is earmarked pending additional guidance from the board. And there is 5.6 million for the purchase of Mottman. Those are both from REIT 1. And there is 916,000 from the general fund for the courts, the prosecutor, and public defense to process cases that are a result of the Blake decision. So there's some big things going on in this budget. You held a public hearing on June 22nd and have received a few comments on the budget. The information regarding the budget was published on, I believe, June 8th and 15th in the Olympian and have been posted on our budget website since June 8th. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have on this budget. Again, a lot going on in it, and it's a significant change.
Questions for Robin?
No, sir.
Commissioner Edwards?
I guess I'd follow up on your comment that this is a significant change. This is the same material that was advertised as a minor budget amendment up until just the last few days. Is that right?
No, Commissioner, that's not right. At no time did we use the word minor regarding the budget amendment.
You did not claim that this was a minor amendment to the budget, to the CIP.
To the budget, no,
to
at
the
no
CIP.
time did I do that. Not in any communication, no, sir.
Okay.
This is not an amendment to the CIP. This is an amendment to the budget.
Okay.
Robin, you made, oh, sorry. Good, okay. A few questions, Robin. The Budget Stabilization Fund, has Thurston County ever had a Budget Stabilization Fund?
No, Commissioner. This is the first fund of its kind in Thurston County, and I would like to applaud the board for taking this action, and it's one step toward ensuring financial stability for the county in future times.
You mentioned support for the court system and lakes. There's items related to Sheriff's Office, is that right?
Yes.
Public Works.
Yes.
We heard public testimony today about a property cleanup at Single Tree Estates, and that commenter made reference to the budget amendment. Can you describe what that's about?
Yes, sir. There is money in this amendment to provide a cleanup of a compliance issue. So there is a property that there's been a compliance issue for some time. Money is provided in this budget to conduct a cleanup of that property in accordance with an order from the courts.
Okay. It's only questions I had. Commissioner Edwards has a follow-up.
I'd do a follow-up. There's also money for the atrium project, is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is what I referred to as the 3000 Pacific Avenue building.
Thank you.
Okay, so no other further questions. Is there a motion regarding 9A?
I would move to approve the resolution to adopt budget amendment number 1, including attachment A, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second that. Been moved and seconded. Further discussion by the board of the motion?
No, sir.
No? Nope, okay. I would just reemphasize that the budget amendments are interesting creatures. They're the result of a democratic process where hundreds, literally, of decisions are embedded in them. There are things in this budget amendment I did not vote for. And I think that's true of all three of us. I guess each commissioner has to decide if they feel that they should vote for the package as it's been worked through by the board. A lot of stuff in here. I'm very proud of the Budget Stabilization Fund and a lot of the other work that we've done through this budget amendment. But these are tough calls. Sometimes there's an ability to pull things out and vote on them separately, and sometimes there isn't. I was in that situation last year with the comp plan, where I wanted to express my vote on a few key items, and ultimately I did decide not to vote for that, mainly because of the co-designation of agricultural and mineral land issue. But the budget amendment is always a tough one. So it has been moved and seconded. No further discussion. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye. Motion carries. That brings us to 9B. Commissioners report on board work sessions, community events, assigned committee meetings. Any updates for the public? Start with Commissioner Mejia. Do you have anything?
Yes. Yesterday I went to the Climate Steering Committee, and it was, I went on behalf of Commissioner Menzer as his backup, and that was my first meeting there. Thank you so much for giving me that honor. We talked in regards to several things, but 1 second, I have to take out my notes. The long-term governance agreement got moved to August. We just didn't get to it because there was a lot of conversation in regards to the state energy strategy and the TCMP equity assessment. There was a lot of public comment that was very positive. And that is basically all. And I'm happy to send Thomasina more of a detailed report. I also attended the Thurston Thrives meeting, the Partners for Children, Youth, and Families Steering Committee agenda, and we're talking about a plan forward and how we can have more community input, especially more hospitals and schools possibly. So.
Hospital and schools for
the Partners, Thurston Thrives, yeah, for the Partners for Children, Youth, and Families Steering Committee.
Okay. Is that it?
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
I think the only thing that I'm going to comment on today is regular meeting at the Economic Development Council, and nothing of major consequence to report on that. But I would like to take a moment to recognize Joy McBride. She has been acting as the executive director for the Lewis Mason Thurston Area Agency on Aging for about, I think she took that over for about 3 years, but she's got over 30 years of service and is now going to be retiring. She takes a vast knowledge of her programs and services with her. That's unfortunate. And she did just a super job, and I wish we could have an in-person thing, but we're not. So I just thought I'd take a moment to recognize her exemplary service to the citizens of Thurston County, and mostly those senior citizens that I'm almost eligible for now. So that, Joy, have a good retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's good. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Assigned committee-wise, I guess the main one was the Chehalis Basin Partnership on Friday, and there's an interesting issue discussed, policy issue that might come back to the board for discussion regarding the well fee, the $500 well fee. $350 of that gets sent to Ecology for a permit exempt well, and they're just kind of holding that money. And it's supposed to be to implement the projects, but the partnership are the ones that put together the plan and is working on the implementation. So we discussed whether we should make an argument to Ecology that they should return our portion in the Chehalis Basin of these well fees so that we can use them to provide landowners with project implementation funds. And there was a variety of opinion on that. I think that's a good idea. But we do everything by consensus, so we're going to continue to discuss that. The ecology representative reported there's around $90,000 right now sitting there, and our grant funding for the partnership work has expired, so it's something that we should think about pursuing, at least as a request. I attended the Thurston Regional Planning Council open house on the Martin Way Corridor study. I attended Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland's town hall regarding housing, and I attended Bob Ferguson's meeting this morning on the opioid settlement that's going on between the state and different opioid companies that were wrongdoers, I guess, during the past. So those are the big things that I attended beyond my assigned committee items. And with that, we will go to 9C. County Manager reviewing our combined schedule.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Just to the viewing public, the Board County Commissioners meeting for July 6th has been canceled. So I will walk you through your combined schedule for the next 2 weeks. As soon as you're done with this meeting, you have a public hearing related to taking public testimony for the proposed amendment of Ordinance 15942, where you'll be considering extending the permitting deadlines for building and land use applications. Nothing on your combined schedule tomorrow, Wednesday, June 30th. Thursday, July 1st. Commissioner Menser, Commissioner Edwards will be attending the Thurston Mason Governing Board meeting. Thurston Mason Behavioral Health, no, that's not the acronym. Is the Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization.
Got it.
There you go. Governing Board meeting. At 10 in the morning, you'll have your regular Commissioners check-in meeting. At 11:30, you have an internal services rates briefing. At 1 in the afternoon, you'll have your regular Superior Court update. 2 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to professional services for planning associated with the CPAD department. At 3 in the afternoon, you have a briefing related to capitalization thresholds. And at that day, the 6 in the afternoon, you have been invited to participate on the Senior Services pre-opening event, which is going to be held at 222 Columbia Street Northwest, Olympia 98501. Nothing on your combined schedule on July 2nd. Moving on to Monday, July 5th, the courthouse is closed in observance to the July 4th holiday. Tuesday, July 6th, you will convene here at 9 in the morning on your regular agenda setting, where you will be reviewing the agenda items for the following week, which is July 13th. And the Board of County Commissioners meeting for July 6th in the afternoon has been canceled. Wednesday, July 7th, at 10:30, you have the opportunity to welcome new employees to Thurston County, and we have set aside work sessions for the afternoon. We'll determine if that is needed or not. Thursday, July 8th, you have 9 in the morning budget work session, followed by 10 o'clock the Commissioners check-in. Nothing on your combined schedule on June 9th. On Monday, June 12th, you have your standing Washington State Association of Counties virtual assembly at noon, and then you will convene on July 13th, which is Tuesday, at 9 in the morning on your agenda setting. Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
Okay, so I propose that we reconvene at 4 o'clock for the public hearing, get a restroom break, water break. So we're adjourned for today. Be back 4 o'clock for the hearing on the extension ordinance for economic security and relief.
Thank you.